A pleasant morning to everyone here. On behalf of Research Connect Forum, AMET University, I'm glad I'm glad to welcome you all to the webinar on applications of remote sensing and GIS. Now, I would like to call Mr. Kamalesh Kumar, Research Scholar, Department of English, to introduce our guest speaker of the day.
Good morning to all gathered here. Welcome you all for today's session. It is a huge honor given me to introduce our chief guest. I would like to introduce our today's resource person, Dr. SENTHILNATHAN, Assistant Professor and Head and the in charge of Department of Marine Biotechnology, who is going to give a webinar on application of remote sensing and GIS for research scholar. It is an immense pleasure for me to share about him. His research specialization on marine ecology, coastal resource monitoring, and coastal process and remote sensing. He served and associated with nation's pride organizations. He started as a project fellow in NRSC ISRO, and then he served as a project assistant in Space Application Center ISRO and Junior Research Fellow in Space Application Center ISRO, and also he got a patent for wave energy harnessing technique. He attended so many conferences and presented so many papers, such a worldwide renowned resource scholar and a research person that we have today. Welcome you, sir, for this wonderful day. I hand over the session to our resource person. Thank you.
Thank you for that kind words, Kamalesh. First of all, I would like to thank our Director of Research, Rajshekhar sir, Dr. Helen ma'am, and our joyful scholars for giving me such a wonderful opportunity to me. It's my honor to present these findings and wonderful topic on behalf of you. I think I can start the sessions. So, the topic of today's webinar is about applications of remote sensing and GIS. Am I audible enough?
Yes, sir.
Yes, sir.
Okay, fine. So, while discussing about this topic, our director sir has asked me whether it is applicable for all the scholars. I told him very well. This topic is a very wide subject. It will cover.
Excuse me, sir.
Yeah.
Sir, your voice is not clear, sir.
Now it is okay, ma'am.
Now it is okay, sir.
Okay, so I will keep my microphone near to me. Okay. Okay, while discussing about the topic to our director research sir, he is asked about the applicable for all the scholars. I tell him this is a very wide subject. It will cover entire aspects of the science, not only with science. It will cover the engineering experts. It will cover the management science. It will cover the health science. Also, for a part of the other life science categories. It's a very wide and vast subject. So the remote sensing is a separate thing, and geographical information system is a separate entity. With both together, we can do so many wonders in the scientific field. First, we should know about the basics and the definitions for the remote sensing and GIS. Remote sensing is a very basic thing. It's an art of science that deals with acquiring or sensing an information without being direct physical contact. In short, you are having a remote and your monitoring system will be somewhere else. By operating the remote, you are getting the information in Japan. So this is about the remote sensing. And coming to the geographical information system, we are using this application knowingly or unknowingly our day-to-day life. All of us are using the maps, Google Maps. We are booking for foods. We are booking for online orders. All those things are all incorporated with the geographical informations. So they can able to track you and they can able to deliver the parcels which you are ordered through the internet. It is not only because of the address, it is also based on your geographical coordinates. Geographical coordinates in the sense of latitude and longitude. These things are all very basic things. You might be aware of your school days. While studying the geography, we all studied the latitude and longitude, isn't it, sir? There are several grid lines, imaginary grid lines all over the globe. These imaginary grid lines resembles the latitude and longitude. In short, which are parallel to the equator, that is called as latitude, which are perpendicular to the equator, which is said to be longitude. That means minus 182 plus 180 degree west to east. And the latitude, which runs from minus 90 degree to plus 90. That means northern polar to southern polar. Our globe has divided as several grid components in the terms of latitude and longitude, which is said to be x and y. These coordinates are being useful for the field of the spatial science. Okay, so whatever the data you are collecting on the spatial manner, that you can project in the help of GIS. The main advantage of using this GIS, it will convey your information within a 2-page or 3-page of information within a single map. The interpretation is very efficient while visualizing the map instead of reading so many text data. As I said earlier, without knowing or unknowingly, we are using the satellites in our day-to-day life. Each satellite is meant for specific purposes. Not all of the purposes are served by a single satellite. Okay. Before explaining these things, I would like to ask a few questions to our scholars. Okay, it's a very interesting one, and our session will be an interactive session. Okay, then only it will be an active mode. So, tell some of the satellites, the applications of the satellites that you know. I think I'm asking about the purpose of the satellites or the different utilization of the satellites that you know.
Communication,
Yep, communication. Communication broadcasting
Meteorology,
is the first thing. What is it?
meteorology, weather reports.
Yes, weather forecasting. Yeah, good. Then,
For security purpose.
yes, security purpose, we are using that. Weather forecasting, next to the weather forecasting is Earth observation. Through these Earth
Agriculture.
observation satellites, yeah, all those agricultural activities, meteorological applications that we are covering with the weather forecasting satellite as well as the Earth observation satellites. This Earth observation satellites is only meant for observing the Earth's resources in terms of its biological resources as well as the mineral resources as well as the oil resources, whatever that. Okay. Then navigation. This is the main satellite that we are using currently now. All of our smartphones are connected with these things. Then reconnaissance satellites. This satellite is used for military purpose, as you said, for the different things. Then search and rescue satellites. So the aircrafts or the shipping vessels, those who are in the emergency time, they can generate a beacon. Those beacons or the signals will be captured by these SAR satellites, that means search and rescue satellites, and relay to the ground station so that the ground station may get alert and they will initiate the rescue operations. Then the last one is space exploration satellites. These are satellites which meant to be explore the outer space, such as Mangalyaan, Chandrayaan, the other planets. Okay. Compared to these things, other 6 satellites are only meant for the Earth applications. So the first remote sensor is our human eye. While seeing the things, we are sensing the objects. So what is the present over here? What kind of object it is there? Whether it is a solid or whether it is a liquid, what kind of matter is that? All those things will be captured by our eyes and percepted, and these informations will reach the brain. So this is the very primitive systems. Okay. In the technological advancement, the first photo of the Earth, which was taken in the year of 1858 on the platform of balloon, air balloon. That is the first remote sensing picture that we have got. Then 1909, the first airplane photos were taken. During the time of World War I and II, there are a lot of images were taken for the purpose of getting benefit winning the wars. So after the World War II, slightly the airborne photography were transformed into a sensor-based things. There they will introduce the infrared and radar radiations within the spectrums. That means it's incorporated in the sensors. Okay. So the first weather forecasting satellite was launched in the year of 1960. This is about the weather satellites, but 1957 is the first satellite which is launched by Russians. The name of the first satellite is about Sputnik. Okay. And the Earth resource satellite was launched in the year of 1972, the Landsat. From 1972 onwards, till date, we are having the informations of the Earth resources till date, from Landsat 1 to Spot, and even our Indian satellites. How we are capturing the data? The data will be captured in two modes, one through photographical and another through electronical mode. Okay. In the photographical mode, we will capture those informations with respect to respective spectral layer. Spectral layer in the sense of blue, green, yellow, infrared, those kind of information things. Sorry, those kind of spectral information things. Why we are capturing these spectral things? This is a spectral region, that means 400 nanometer to 700 nanometer, that could be able to easily identified by the human eyes. So we are developing those sensors based on the human eye spectrums, perceptions, and we capture the informations. Okay. By using the sun's illumination as an input source, we are capturing the images. That is called as passive remote sensing. While in the active remote sensing, those energy will be transmitted from the source and recaptured by the source. Okay. Pausing and capturing, emitting and capturing. This will come under the active remote sensing parts. So these are all the components of remote sensing system. That means you may consider that one as a satellite. Energy source, transmission path, the target, and the nature of the sensor, whether it is optical sensor or whether it is a radiation sensor, like that. So we can get the information by operating through optical or through thermal or through radars. Okay. Yeah. I think you all can able to see the picture. Can you able to identify those features which present in this picture? Look at the image carefully and tell me the features which are present in the picture. Please zoom out the picture and identify the features. Okay. And tell me the features present in the
Statue
picture.
of Liberty.
Yeah. Your building structure is there then.
The ocean.
water body. Then please. A tiny landmass which is covered by a water body, a green vegetation and a construction site and the water bodies. These are all the features which is present in the picture. How we are saying, how we are sensing these informations by visualizing the picture, and we are getting the informations directly, right? How about this picture? Whether we can able to identify any features on this thing?
No, sir.
Mm, let's try to guess something. Okay. What are you thinking?
Heat
Yeah,
radiation, maybe, sir.
heat radiation. Okay, then there are three colors predominantly present in this picture. One is dense red, another one is ash color, another one is dark blue, or even you can call it as a black color. So there are three colors which is present in this picture, and three colors are representing three distinct features. Okay. So both of these images are taken by a camera, but the nature of the camera is differ. Okay. The right side figure, which was taken by a normal camera, like your mobile camera or whatever that. Okay. So that we can able to easily identify the objects. The left side, this image was taken by a satellite camera. Satellite camera in the sense of optical sensors camera. While dealing with optical sensors, those sensor which in terms of I can say each spectral band has a sensor and each spectral band has a separate cameras. For blue band, it is having a blue band camera. For red band, it is having a red band camera. So it will capture a layer by layer of information, and while pass on to the ground station, those informations will stack together and projecting like this. Okay. So as a person from the remote sensing, they will easily identify these objects as the dense red, which indicates the dense vegetation. The ash color, which represents the built-up area. Built-up is nothing but our buildings, industries, and the human settlement area. And the black or dark blue area, which represents the water body, water channels. Okay. The stacked informations of those optical sensors data will always falsify the colors. In real Earth object, the plants are representing in the green color, not in the red. But while we are talking about the optical sensors data, it's in a reverse mode because those green vegetation will absorb this green and reflected the air radiations. Okay. You may correct if I am wrong. There are some people from physics, they may know that. So this is the basic things of the optical sensor data. By seeing this data, we can able to identify and map their volume. So this is, we call it as a spectral signature of the vegetation. While capturing the data, it will generate a spectral signature. By observing this spectral signature, we can able to identify the nature of the object. While what you are seeing here, it is a spectral signature of a vegetation, the green vegetation. I told you, the vegetation which reflects a higher peak value in near infrared region. There you can able to see these things. The near infrared have the highest peak, the highest reflectance of vegetation near infrared. Okay. The declination points where you can observe in here is that 0.5, that means blue-green region, and apart from that, short-wave infrared. Okay. So likewise, each and every object that present in this earth has its own spectral pattern or spectral signature. By deriving all those spectral signatures, it is very easy to quantify those objects. So these things are all coming under the Earth observation purpose. Okay. Now we are going to talk about the application parts. Okay. So a lot of applications are carried over by remote sensing data. In 200 years or 250 years ago, we need to manual survey all those regions to get steady. But the advancements of the remote sensing, within a single snap of image, we can cover several hundreds or several thousands of kilometers within a single snap. That is the main advantage of these things. The first and foremost application is about the urbanization and transportation. The people from the management side or the demographic side or the geographic side, they are more interested in this studying these things. Updating roadmaps or renaments or wetland delineations or constructions of the sites or route planning, optimized route planning for the transportation purpose. All those things we can able to study with this thing. Nowadays, if you're opening the Google Maps in a traffic area, it will display the intensity of the traffic in terms of low, moderate, and high level. The high level which is said to be indicated by red color, dense red color, right? The color codes. If the area is so trafficked, it also suggests the alternative routes for you. How it performs all those operations. All those operations have the three basic things. The first thing, the locality of the area. The second thing, the roads available within that area. The third thing, your cell phone signals. If it is congested in that area, it will automatically tell that you are in a congested or trafficked area. Okay. And one more thing is that while viewing the maps, you are able to get the landmarks or what are the features that you are having in nearby. How all the informations are fed to the system. All the informations are fed to the system with respect to their geographical coordinates. Okay. If you're having the latitude and longitude, you can able to create or generate your own map. That is the purpose of this webinar. The students from the life science category, they will collect the samples from several locations, whether it may be a terrestrial path, it may be a coastal path, or the students from the management side, they will prepare a questionnaire survey and going for a field surveys. It may deal with the market analysis or it may deal with census analysis. All those things could be transformed in a geographic visualization. Okay. The maps are so powerful to convey these informations when compared to the text-oriented data. Okay. During the time of emergency operations, like route planning for ambulance or route planning for evacuation sites, during the time of floods or cyclones, we need to think about the flood shelters, the hotspots of the cyclones. So in that time, we can able to derive the informations that what we need it from the remote sensing satellites data. Okay. Then the second foremost thing is about the agriculture part. By using the remote sensing data, we can able to analyze the crop health. Okay. Augmenting the satellites with a ground-based sensor to perform a precision agricultural methods and to quantify the yield and conditions of the land, agricultural land, by based on the compliance mapping. How they are performing these things? Just look at the bottom image, which is denoted by green and red color. Okay. As I said earlier, the red one which indicates the dense vegetation. Here the green one which indicates the barren land. While there is an in-between portion, some portions are partially red and some portions are partially green. Just note the yellow line marked over in the land. This yellow line, which represents a partially attacked by pest, a partial denudation in the field. So in that sense, how much of field that we can get from the field? It's very simple. We need to point out those x and y, okay, calculating the area with respective latitude and longitude, and incorporating the health analysis, whether it is a dense red, it's in a high health condition, whether it is a moderate level, the red color may be further reduced to the pink one. The peak value will be reduced. Based on the peak value, we can get able to derive the crop health. By incorporating all those things, we can able to quantify the yield. Okay, so this is a major advantage of remote sensing using in agricultural field. Why these things are all important means 250 years ago, in India, we are having nearly 50,000 foot edible crop species. How many of you know means I don't know, but we had 50,000 foot edible crop species before 250 years. But as of now, we are only practicing with 5,000 foot edible crop species. So what happened to the 45,000 species? It lost. There are so many reasons began for this loss. So during the time of World War or during the time of drought, severe drought in India. And the main thing is the manpower. The farmer's resource has diminishing towards to the change of their occupancy. There are a lot of transformation happened during the time of independence. So we lost so many food edible crop species. If we continuously just a minute. Yeah. If we fail to practice those things or cultivating those species, it will lead to a biodiversity loss. Because 250 years it was around 50,000. Now it is around 5,000. If the practice is still going on, this 5,000 may be 500 in still 5 more years. And within another 100 years, no one knows about the usage of edible crop species. Now we are talking a lot about the organic farming or cultivating of country breeds, country crop species, all those things. This is a very popular picture. It's taken in the region, I think some South Asian region, South Asia, Somalian region. Yeah. This picture was reported by UNESCO during the year of 2010. They have quoted the following statement. Each and every year, around 18 million people die due to malnutrition and starvation. That means they're not getting a proper food or proper nourished foods. Even some of the places in Africa, they are still eating that sand. Okay, that much of drought is being said about that. Then the fourth one is about the natural resource management. Here we are studying a lot of things. It starts with habitat analysis, environmental assessment, pest disease outbreaks, impervious surface mapping, lake monitoring, hydrology, land use land cover monitoring, mineral province, geology. Well, habitat analysis is deals about mapping the habitats of respective animal species. There are a lot of animals which are said to be critically endangered or near to extinct states. So what is the importance of mapping their habitats? Please someone say the importance of mapping their habitats. Why we care for their animals? The Earth is bestowed with nearly 20 million species. Okay, as on date estimated as also discovered. Within this 20 million species, nearly we are losing 2,500 species each and every year. All of you may be aware of the dodo bird. Javan white rhinoceros, stands, right? Indian auros. Have you seen these animals? These animals existed once on the earth, not now. So many of the animals are critically endangered and so endemic to the particular places. So while tracking their habitats, we can able to discover their existence and their present status, whether it is a critically endangered or their population may be increased or their population may be further decreased. If their population is further decreased, means we need to plan accordingly to promote their count. In 2010, there are not much tigers in India, roughly around 800 to 1,200. Now, what is the status of the tigers in India? Anybody knows the tiger population in India in the recent years? Come on, guys. Let's talk some general knowledge. What do you think? How many tigers in India? Guys? Just guess. And tell. What do you think? How many tigers in India? I told you, by 2010 it was around 800 to 1,200. Okay. There are not much conservative parks or tiger reserves in India during the time. Slightly, that movement has started because tiger is being the national animal of India. So they have come up with a good plans to conserve the species and to promote their population count. The recent data suggests that there are 2,800 tigers is present all over in India, and the reserve has been increased. The tiger reserve parks in southern India, also the Royal Bengal tigers in Sundarbans, all of the populations has been increased in the recent years. How it was possible? The first thing, they have created a protected area for the tiger. The protected area means the humans are not supposed to enter in their premises. Okay, so that human intervention has been arrested. So without disturbing their nature, that helps the tigers to grow their numbers. The Royal Bengal tigers are one of the prideful species which lives in the current world, second to the Siberian tigers. Okay. Also, the tigers are considered as one of the keystone species which has the capability to protect the forest. Okay. There are several benefits of this thing. Then environmental assessment. We all know that what is meant by environmental assessment. So what are the structures that we are building near to the biological reserve area or coastal reserve area, or any industries which near to the human settlements? They need to assess the environment first. That means prior to the construction. While assessing the environment, they will record all those informations with respect to the biological diversity in terms of microbial organisms, insects, birds, animals which are present in the particular location, and what about the water conditions. All those things they will record. This we call it as a pre-environmental assessment. So after the construction of these things, there is any change that will drastically affect the resource means we need to find out the solution. So that they will conduct the post-environmental analysis. So after the construction, how much of habitat or how much of biodiversity loss has been impacted by the construction. A few years ago, there was a protestation that happened in the sterlite industry in Tuticorin. Right. So what is the major purpose of the protestation? You can talk about the scientific aspects of the protestation, not talking about the politics. Because of that industry, the land area, the water area, also the air has been polluted. Okay. Gradually, it makes the area unfit for the living. Okay. So that people who are living in that area has protested against that industry to recover and protect the environment. And harmful, it's not only for the human, also for the other creatures. Okay. So we are only the social animals, we are destroying the earth, entire thing. Otherwise, the earth will be more perfect. The last year is a perfect example. In last year, we all are settled in our home, and the animals were wandering in the states. Right? A lot of good things happening to the nature the last year. Ozone hill, the depletion of the ozone hills got self-healed. Then pest disease outbreaks. While discussing the agricultural field area, we discuss these things. Based on the spectral signature pattern, we could able to identify the outbreaks in a massive number. It is not applicable to the tiny area. It will applicable only for a huge spatial area. That means even for 2 acres or more than 2 acres. Impervious surface mapping is about the thematic mapping. Whatever that maps you are generating, it should be a colored one. Then lake monitoring, hydrology, the both things are involved in monitoring the water resources. How we are effectively monitoring and managing the water resources by using this remote sensing data. Deriving the information from the remote sensing data such as topography, okay, then volume of the water with respect to the blue band, then the climatology over the lake. These 3 things are the sufficient enough to monitor the water resources. By mapping the volume of water, we can able to derive the residence time. Okay. Then land use land cover monitoring. This is nothing but how much of land is utilized for built-up area, how much of land is utilized for agricultural area, how much of land is utilized for other purposes. Okay, whether it may be a follow-up land or it may be a refuse land, something. It's accountability study for the land use. Okay. Then mineral province. By deriving the spectral signature, we can able to get the information of the minerals. What sort of minerals are present over this region? Whether it may be a bauxite or it may be a zirconite or it may be other minerals or lignite, whatever that. By capturing the surface information, it's possible to derive that information. So if we have a trace, then we can initiate the ground-based instruments or ground-based research-oriented studies to further exploit those areas. Then the field of geology. To identify the landscapes, falls, fjords, cliffs, plain area, hill area, okay, mountains, all those things will be classified based on the remote sensing reflectance. These are all mostly beneficial to the students, those who are studying the life science or studying the geography or studying mining or petroleum explorations or environmental studies or management oriented studies. Okay. So this is another classical example. The image what you are seeing here is a dense forest once. The first picture, which was taken in the year of 1973, whether you can able to see a lot of green. Almost the full part was covered by the greenery. When it comes to 1976, that means 3 years later, a minor portion of the forest has been degraded. Right? When it comes to 1986, nearly 50 to 55% of the forest has been degraded. While the period of 14 years, nearly 50% of the forest has been degraded. How I am saying these things? By looking at the satellite images, which was taken in the temporal frequency, I can conclude. All right. So whoever seeing these images, they can easily derive this information. So this is the power of visualization. Just imagine, if you want to survey this area by manually, it will take so much amount of time, so much amount of manpower, so much amount of time, other resources like money or that materials, all those things. For a 25 kilometer area, at least we need to 4 or 5 people to survey. Okay. For surveying, we need to give a lot of instruments, the field instruments, and required resources to make the survey successful. So after 3 or 4 days, they will come and conclude. So this much of land has been degraded, the forest. Okay. You have to notice down the time frame required. But if you take in the remote sensing data within a single second, single snap, and a timely frequency, you can get the information within 1 or 2 hours. That means you are getting the information without going out, within a short span of time. Okay. So there is a major advantage of these things. Then the last thing is national security. By means of search and rescue satellites and reconnaissance satellites and some other spy satellites, we can able to defend and protect our lands. While national security, those satellites are meant for targeting, disaster mapping and monitoring, damage assessment, homeland security, and navigation. While seeing the Hollywood movies, you may seen these things. Some of the missiles are location-based access. If you feed the location, those missiles will go and destroy the particular target. Okay. All these things are based on the X and Y. Then disaster mapping and monitoring, that we will discuss in later, not here. Then damage assessment. Just look at the right side figure, which points out that industrial fires, the smokes are spread over a particular direction, and nearly it is around 5 to 10 kilometers. Okay. So by capturing the satellite image, we can able to easily track the smoke, the direction, and the magnitude. If you want to access these things by manually means, you need to track down the smoke area by traveling all along those areas, or you need to call the nearby locations where they can able to see the smokes or not. Okay, so a lot of time consuming. So the remote sensing will reduce the manpower as well as the time frame drastically. So these are some of the satellites and the camera sensors. The first one is flight mode. It's said to be a low-level orbit, and the image is captured by the aerial photography is having a high level of information and low scale. Okay, that means the coverage will be a smaller size. Next comes to the medium Earth orbit satellite images. These are said to be medium resolutions. This is the satellite image that we are using for Earth observation. Okay, the resource monitoring. Then the third thing is radar satellites. It's meant to be monitor the bottom topography, also the altimeter purpose. And the last one, it is said to be a hyperspectral data, which is nothing but a high defined version of the multispectral data. While the multispectral data, the blue band, which is ranges from 400 to 450 nanometer or 400 to 500 nanometer. In the case of hyperspectral, the 400 to 500 nanometer was created by 410 or 412 or 414 or 416 nanometers. It may narrow down the wavelength. The purpose of narrow down this wavelength, it will help to identify the species level composition. While using the multispectral satellite data, we can able to map the area by community wise. Okay. So these are the importance of remote sensing. As I pointed out, this will reduce the manual field work dramatically, and if you require a large amounts of data, it will provide it. And the third important thing is, it will allow the retrieval of data for the regions difficult for impossible to reach. That means that open ocean or hazardous terrain or ocean depths or the atmosphere, in simple, which are said to be inaccessible to the humans. Okay. Let's move on to the GIS. GIS is nothing but Geographic Information System. We have seen all the basics of these things already. Let us discuss about the space applications in the different sectors. Again, the application is repeating here also. The crop area estimation, crop yield and production forecast, advanced technologies for food security, better planning for cropping different crops. Just look at the image, the slides. This is how we are deriving the information and projecting the things in the agriculture. Okay. What you are seeing in the picture just have to be a thematic map. Thematic map in the sense of color coded. Okay. The green color which represents the healthy crops and the yellow one which represents the moderate health cover crops. Also, it is delineated by the black color. Okay. Altogether, first we can get the crop area, the land area. Based on the land area, combining with the crop health, we can able to identify and estimate the crop yield. Okay. Then this is the next beneficial activity. This is dedicated to fishermen, actually. This is called as a potential cruising zone advisories. These green dots are representing the coastal stations which are connected with the coastal information research center. The purpose of advisory committee is about the designate the location of the fish catchment area. If they are designating the information through SMS, those SMS will have the latitude, longitude, the depth, as well as the forecast information of the fisheries. So what sort of fisheries? Okay. What sort of fish is available in the particular location? If the fishermen are getting this information and guided by this thing, they will able to catch good amount of fish catchment. Okay. Right now, these stations are increased furthermore. How they are deriving the potential fishing zone? Very simple. Satellite derived chlorophyll, the sea surface temperature, also the wind parameters. Combining all together, they can easily track the information of fish catchment. It is valid up to 24 to 48 hours, even 72 hours. Okay. Earlier days, the fisher folks will catch the fish by means of using the traditional methods. These traditional methods are by observing the ocean color, or by tracking the seabirds, or by tracking the dolphins. Now we have started using this kind of satellite information for that also. Then hydrology, as I said earlier, by observing the topography, benthic topography, the blue band information of the water, and the associated climatological parameters. Then coastal zones. Yeah. We are talking about the shoreline erosion. Right. Most of you are already frequently visiting the beaches. If you're visiting the beaches, you may notice some of the areas are permanently eroding and some of the places are permanently getting deposited. Okay. It is not possible to go every day or to go on a monthly basis or to go in a seasonal wise for accessing the area and identify the erosion sites, because the coastal line of India is about 7,500 kilometers. Okay. So it is not possible by means of deploying the manpower to get the accurate information. So in that sense, we can deploy the satellites, capture the shoreline, okay, in a temporal manner. So based on the temporal manner, we can able to analyze the shoreline data at the 5-year interval or 10-year interval. Okay. By 1990, they started capturing the marina shoreline means. By 1995, 2000, 2005, and 2010, 2015, nearly 5 to 6 data sets that I can obtain for Marina Beach area to identify the erosion sites. Okay, the erosion sites are identified. Then what has to be done? So based on the erosion sites, we need to develop the protection activities in terms of constructing seawalls, or in terms of nourishing the beaches, or in terms of planting the trees which are suitable for the beach soil. In that aspect, we can protect the coast. Okay, there we can be able to use these kind of things. It's a very beneficial for this thing. Geology and exploration. That means what you are showing, what you are seeing here, it is an open mine. If you visited the Neyveli Lignite Corporation, you may know that they are having nearly 2 open mines. These open mines will be further classified in a thematic color map. This thematic color as shown in the below image. Okay. Each color represents each minerals or the concentration of the mineral. Okay. Then civil engineering. So one of the classical examples that I have to quote here. Dubai. They have constructed 2 to 3 islands in the oceans by means of this satellite technology. The Palmer Island is a very classical example for this. I think most of you have known this thing, known this island, Palmer Island. It is one of the man-made terrestrial part. Okay, it's a 15 years project. All those dimensions have been monitored through the space, from the space. That's the one thing. The next thing, construction of a dam, or construction of a flyover, or construction of a mega structures is definitely involves the remote sensing satellites. Not only with the remote sensing, also you need to use a geographical information systems, because geographical information system is a stacked information which contains so many layers, several layers of information. Instead, such as the land pattern, water resources, road network, telephonic network, current pattern, okay, which are the resources available nearby. All those things start coming under the GIS. It also involves the meteorological part and demographic. Then glaciology. By means of the optical sensor data, we can derive the information of solid concentrated ice and the melted ice. Just look at the picture here. It's shown in the colored pattern. The blue, which indicates the dense ice, and the red, which indicates the melted ice part. Okay. This is one of the glaciers located in the Pakistan area, northern Pakistan. The name of the glacier was Batura. Over the period of 10 to 15 years, the acceleration was increased. The glaciers were melted, and so much of ice cover has been vanished. What is the importance of studying these things? Because the glacier melting is directly connected with the climate change studies. It will increase the sea level. If the sea level doesn't rise, our land part will get submerged. So these things are all interconnected with one another. Okay. Not only with the Bhadra glacier, also this is the fate of our Himalayan glacier. The rate of melting is being increased in the recent years. The natural hazards. This I have to point out. Each and every year in our country we are facing at least 2 to 3 natural hazards, either in terms of floods or in terms of cyclones or in terms of earthquake or in terms of landslides. Okay. So what is the very recent one? I think recently the cyclone which hits the part of Odisha. Okay. By observing the frequency and the occurrence of the places, they can easily derive the information which are the areas are prone to cyclones or which are prone to earthquakes or which are prone to landslides. Okay. So these things will help us to develop the hazard protective structures, prepare maps and management plans against each type of hazard. Okay. Cyclones. Please look at the picture and tell me the name of the cyclone which hit our Indian coastline. It is one of the mega cyclones which affected the Indian coastline. The tropical cyclones are intense low pressure systems which develop over warm swing. They are capable of causing immense strain and damage due to strong winds, heavy rains, and storm surges. So what are the cyclones that you are observing in the picture? It's an actual image. It is not an animated one. Okay, it's an actual track of a cyclone which hit in the year of 2013. It was hit in the year of 2013. It's one of the mega cyclone which hit our Indian coastline. Please visit and tell me. The center of the eye is clearly visible here. Okay. Associated with the eye, the inner wall is there, the outer wall is also there. The diameter of the cyclone is about 3,000 kilometers. The name of the cyclone is Filing, which hit in the coast of Odisha, caused so many damages during that time. So this is another example. Cyclone Varda during the year of 2015, which caused immense damages in and around part of Chennai. How these cyclones are being formed? First, it will develop as a low pressure system. Okay. Slowly, it will get intensified in terms of balancing the pressure. It will further intensify, so the pressure will increase and the wind force will be increased. Starting from the 35 kilometer depression, it may end up with 124 kilometer or even 160 kilometer or even 180 kilometer per hour. That is said to be a very severe cyclonic storm, such as cyclonic Varda. this is the observed track of cyclone Varda. I think you are aware of that, where it got hit. By 11th December 2016, when it crossed the coast of Chennai, the wind speed is around 125 km. You need to imagine one thing. If you are riding a motorcycle, is having a 40 km and you are hitting somebody, what will happen? Hitting a motorbike with a 40 km, it may cause a moderate level of injury. Or if you are going with a speed of 65 km or 70 km, it will cause so many damages. Right? Very high level of damages. In compared to the bike speed, the 70 km, it is compared with the cyclonic speeds, 125 km. Nothing will be remain when facing this much of speed. So this is the observed track of cyclone Varda when it originates as a depression and formed as a very severe cyclonic storm and depressed the coast of Punjab. Yeah. Yeah, there are another cyclones which followed in the year of 2017. One is Cyclone Oki, and another cyclone has been formed over the Bay of Bengal. By seeing the satellite picture, you can able to get the information about the spatial scale, how much of area is going to be get affected by this natural hazard. Okay. Yeah, I think it is 2018 Cyclone Gaja. It hit the coast of Nagapattinam with a speed of 110 km. Then tsunami. Yeah, here I am going to show some of the pictures which was taken during the time of tsunami. Okay. The picture that you are seeing here is a before tsunami. This is during the time of tsunami. How the waves are thrashing back towards to the land. Okay. It's a kind of attacking. This is one of the classic example. Just look at the tiny island which is surrounded by a water body. This is before tsunami. Okay. And this is after tsunami. Just observe the damage which caused by the city disaster. Nearly 70 to 75% of the resource has been damaged. It remains as a barren land. So, the remote sensing is a very powerful tool to monitoring this kind of damage assessment studies. Based on the study, based on the landscape, based on the population, to easily get the information so that we can initiate the rehabilitation plans and the rehabilitation process within a short span of time. Yeah, the coast was entirely washed away by this tsunami waves. And these are the images which represents the erosion patterns. Okay. How the land is being transformed from over the period of time. So 1975 it was a dense forest and 2003 it was converted as a agricultural landscape. So this kind of laser kind of pattern you can able to identify in these landscapes. While looking at the Google Maps, you can able to see some of the places in a time lapse mode. By 1990 how it was there, 1995 or 2000 how it was there. That kind of time lapse images you can able to see in the Google. This is another transformation. Yeah, this is one of the disaster factors. The continuous deforestation makes the land getting unstabilized and it shifted the Also the river pattern also shifted from one place to another place. Yep. A lot of greenery has been removed in the particular location. Then, in the field of irrigation and the management studies, we all know that the deserts are very well known for their sands and very dry climate. In 1991, the Saudi Arabia begins the irrigation plans to transform their lands, that means the desert land, into a farmland. Okay, these green dots are representing the irrigation lands. Slightly, it has been increased and the land has been transformed. Just look at the irrigation pattern. Now they are developing, now they are generating 25 to 35% of food resources indigenously. Then another classical example. What you are saying, the black color here, it is a lake. Okay. By observing the low-level information, low-land information, they have created 4 separate water bodies. Yeah. So all these things are all representing the water body. Associated green mass which represents the greeneries. That means the vegetation pattern. The role of remote sensing and GIS in disaster prevention. As I said earlier, during the time of disasters, how an individual should be getting prepared, how a community should be prepared to face the disaster. In a community approach or in a government approach, first they will identify the evacuation spots or safe spot for shifting the people those who are going to face a disaster in the particular location. For example, if you are taking a flood or if you are taking a cyclone, those people, those who are living in the low-level area, they will be shifted to the high grounds. So after that incident or after that disaster, those people those who were shifted in the high-level lands, they may be further transferred to the native one after recreating the places. Okay. Earthquake, forest fire, drought, infrastructure planning, then disaster preparedness. Disaster preparedness, everyone should be equipped with that. The disaster management people should be equipped with that maps, which are indicating a safe spot, which are indicating that resources available with the spots. Okay. Also the fire brigadiers, also for the health work. Now we are living in the COVID pandemic. Everyone should get vaccinated for these things. Also, all those vaccinated spots, you can get the information through maps. They are giving the websites. You are going to check the website and you are going to get the information via the maps. Right? Yep. The magnitude-based studies. So these are the 4 contest points, and it deals with disaster management, early warning and contingency planning, rescue relief, early recovery, reconstruction, and rehabilitation. That's all. Thank you. For the time constraint, I didn't cover some of the aspects in detail. Yeah, guys.
Thank you, sir.
Participants, do you have any queries?
I forgot to tell one thing. Those people, those who are dealing with the life science, they are collecting the samples, right? For the sample collection information, you can denote the map with respect to collecting the geographical points, because maps are so graphically represented, and you need not to write the location in text. Right? Yeah. Any queries, questions?
Shall I proceed, sir?
Please.
Thank you, sir, for the extraordinary presentation on applications of remote sensing and GIS. It was extraordinarily profound and effective. You revealed so many facts about natural resources, and surely it will be helpful to the young researchers for their future research. Especially, I would like to thank you for accepting our invitation. We are grateful to you for making time in your busy schedule to speak to us. Thanks again, sir. Participants, kindly fill the feedback form. The link is posted in the chat box. Now, I call Ms. Manimegalai, Research Scholar, Department of Mathematics, to propose the vote of thanks.
It's my privilege to have been asked to propose a vote of thanks on this occasion. I, on behalf of Research Scholars AMET University, extend a very hearty vote of thanks to the Honorable Speaker Dr. SENTHILNATHAN sir, who shared his precious knowledge in the field of remote sensing and GIS. Also, the way of his presentation and explanation about the application of remote sensor in various fields and its importance is excellent, sir. Also, which is very useful and helpful for all research scholars. Thank you, sir. Thank you for your very interesting and thought-provoking address. I also wish to express my gratitude to our Vice Chancellor for providing encouragement and support. I would also like to thank our research director, Dr. D. Rajsekhar sir, for organizing this research connected forum. Also, I would like to express my gratitude to the faculty coordinator, Dr. D. Helen ma'am, and the student coordinator, Ms. Joy Salomi, for maintaining this program every week. At last, I would like to thank our research scholars and all participants for your cordial cooperation. Once again, thank you all.
Thank you, my dear
Thank
scholars.
you, sir.
And yeah, thank you, Helen.
Thank you, sir.
I also thank our director research, Dr. Rajsekhar sir, for giving me this opportunity to me. Okay. So if anybody wants to use these kind of applications, they can contact me. Okay. Especially with the management guys, those who are involving in the marketing analysis. It's very powerful for them. Also, the guys from the physics or chemistry, they can involve in the developing of the sensors. Because the optical part plays a major role here.
Thank you, sir.
Okay.
Thank you.
Thank you. Thank you.
Thank you. Scholars, kindly fill the feedback form which is posted in the chat box.
Shall I leave, ma'am?
Yes, sir. Yes, sir. Yes, sir. Thank you, sir.